disrespect, respectfully. But disrespectfully, it's disrespect. Don't be disrespectful. Those vile, disgusting Spartans, poor little bro them. And I'ma tell them why I'm mad. That vile, disgusting cesspool in Columbus, the other state, and of course, as always, I'm upset. First things first, I gotta tell them why I'm mad. I'm mad because even though the other state went out there and performed like trash, they performed like hot garbage, people still think they can win the Big Ten and that they can go to Ann Arbor and beat the Wolverines, which is ridiculous. It was ridiculous before we saw it, before we saw the performance that they put out there week 1 against Indiana. And I don't want to be a guy that puts too much weight on the game with Indiana. I'm not going to do that. It's week 1. We get it. But I also understand that people use that it's week 1 a lot, right? Like just naturally people are like, "Oh, it's week 1, we'll get better." And I expect, and I've said this on the previous 2 videos, the live I did and the pre-recorded video, or actually it was a live that I then edited, the video I did for Bleacher Report. I said this, I expect the other state to get better. I expect Marvin Harrison Jr. and Igbuka to get better. I've complimented Carnell Tate, but we know that they have wide receiver talent. That's not anything new. They do that. Brian Hartline does a great job of recruiting wide receivers to Columbus. It's everything else. Though they showed some signs, especially along the defensive front, of showing some signs of, I'm sorry, especially that defensive backfield showed some signs of life. Um, I'm not impressed, but we move on. In this video, we're talking Michigan recruiting, starting with Cameron Miller out of New Jersey. In fact, he's out of Atco in Winslow Township, New Jersey. Atco High School, Winslow Township, New Jersey. He's 5'10", 4-star out of the state of New Jersey. He is a speedy, shifty little receiver that Michigan is making headway with. In fact, the guys from the Wolverine, I believe it was EJ Holland, caught up with his head coach, who said that Michigan is indeed making some headway with Miller, and their head coach actually graduated from Penn State, but still acknowledged that Michigan is definitely in the race for the 2025 prospect. Michigan making a concerted effort with a lot of the top receivers in the 2025 class. Receiver, obviously, a place that they came up a little short in the 2024 class. No disrespect to Amorion Walker. Amarion Stewart, who is a 4-star in the 2024 class, who Michigan coveted highly and was able to land. But they did swing and miss on people like Wingo. So making up for that in the 2025 class is a big deal, and that's something that they are putting a lot of effort towards. Moving on to the next prospect in the 2025. Staying with the wide receiver theme, staying with the East Coast wide receiver theme, and even more specifically, the New Jersey wide receiver theme. Michigan is also recruiting Quincy Porter. He's a 4-star wide receiver out of Virgin Catholic in Ordell, New Jersey. He is, by all accounts, very special. Michigan currently is in a recruiting battle for his services with the likes of Rutgers, which is kind of like the home team, Penn State, and believe it or not, Lil Bronim. And we saw what happens with receivers who leave Lil Bronim with Keon Coleman's performance for Florida State. That said, I don't think that Michigan or Michigan State those vile, disgusting Spartans, will really factor into this. I'm not going to count them all the way out because, uh, they do have, rented Lamborghinis and things like that they like to pull onto uh, the field to help in recruiting. But I'm not too worried about Michigan State. More so about Penn State and Rutgers. Penn State really recruits that area very well. That whole New York, Philadelphia, New Jersey area. They recruit that area well. Michigan also recruits that area well. And with the addition of Chris Partridge, I expect Michigan to really get back into that area even more so than they have in recent memory. Chris Partridge, of course, the linebacker coach. So he's on defense, but he does have extensive history in the state of New Jersey. He does have great relationships in the state of New Jersey, so I expect him to help Michigan in the recruitment, even with some of the guys on the offensive side of the ball, even if it's just making the connection with the coaches. But Porter, like I said, very special athlete, as you can see from the film. It would be a huge get for Michigan to land one or both of these guys out of the state of New Jersey. I do expect this one to heat up here recently. I'll keep you posted as more updates become available. Finally, moving on to the last recruiting bit of news on this here video, we're going to go with in-state 5-star quarterback Bryce Underwood. Zach Libby of the Wolverine recently wrote about Underwood. One of the things Zach pointed out was the consistency that Michigan has showed, especially quarterback coach Kirk Campbell, in their pursuit of Bryce Underwood. Of course, he's, as I have pointed out, as I have said many times on the channel, the most important recruit in Michigan history, maybe, but definitely in recent memory. He's a must-have for Michigan. He's an in-state recruit, 5-star quarterback, the best quarterback in the country. This is even more important than Dante Moore or CJ Carr, in my personal opinion. And even with that, he's more talented than both of those guys, in my personal opinion. Now, granted, someone else may think otherwise, but to me, it's not even close. He is the Dylan Raiola of 2025, and again, in my personal opinion, even better than Dylan is in 2024. That said, Michigan has its work cut out for it. They're in a recruiting battle with schools from the SEC. You have to throw in the other state in there, as they're going to be hot on the trail as well, and other schools in the Midwest, of course, as well. Lowbro, NIM, Penn State. But right now, it seems like a 2-school battle between LSU and Michigan. He's been really high on LSU. Brian Kelly offers a little more openness in the offense, especially in the pass game. But as you saw this Sunday night, Brian Kelly has his flaws, and they were apparent against Florida State. They were blaring against Florida State. There were times where he called a timeout to go for it on 4th down, and the play call on that 4th down was just ridiculous. So I'm sure Bryce is taking all that into consideration. Right now, Michigan looks like the steadier program. Michigan looks like the more consistent program. 2 straight years into the college football playoff. LSU has not been to the college football playoff since Joe Burrow and those guys left. And it doesn't look like they're going to go this year unless there's some drastic turnaround. Now, granted, it's only been 1 week, so I'm not going to hold their feet to the fire of that game too much. But I do think that game is indicative of Brian Kelly coached teams. That said, we know NIL is going to play a part here. He's the number 1 recruit in the country, the best quarterback in the country. He's going to want things. He deserves things as being the number one recruit in the country, and Michigan has to get their NIL situation together. We've heard Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh speak about how he believes that these kids deserve to be compensated, and even some sharing, if you will, between the universities or between the NCAA, which is a joke, but not the ideal, but I'm talking about the NCAA, the institution of the NCAA, but sharing of the monies, especially the monies made off of football and basketball with the college athletes. So we'll see what happens with that. Be sure to check me out tonight, live, Maize Blue and Gold Show, my guy Ryan Fravel, more Michigan news, some Notre Dame updates, unfortunately for us Michigan fans. And also follow me everywhere at Maize Mad Mad. If you haven't already, download that Bleacher Report, support your guy. Download the Bleacher Report app. Follow me there at Maize Mad Mad as well. And until next time, stay angry, my friends. I'm upset.
Ladies and gentlemen, this might be our best season ever. Ladies, we're about to go through it.
All right, now I'ma calm down. Son. I just don't get that all that mace and that lock and all that puff. I just don't get it, son, for real.
Just calm
and how the